Hey, where's my game? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. There's my game. We are back again. So the Ace Attorney. I'm gonna leave that right up there. Tell you just to remind everyone that Comcast sucks and always will suck until they fix my issue or they somehow magically make it so my upload speed never fucking tanks below 10 megabits per second, which I kind of doubt that's gonna happen. But hey, I'm open to believing in it. Anyway, Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Well, Great Ace Attorney 2. Gonna be honest with you, I still really do not trust Lord Stronghart. I don't trust him at all, actually. He's... You know, initially I was like, oh, this guy is just one of those people who's like... He's got an aura about him. He's like, he's always got power in front of you or something, or whatever he decides to exude. But, man, I don't know, that power seems to be slipping from him, and he's just kind of showing more and more of his, not so much true colors, but colors nonetheless. By the way, can you guys hear me? I don't know if the microphone's working, actually, because it had the updates. No, it looks like it's fine. I'm assuming it's fine, at least. If it's not fine, feel free to say something, because I don't know, okay? Anyway, last stream, we had to, unfortunately, we had to stop really unexpectedly. I did not mean to skip through that. Because of horrible internet. Supposedly, the guys at Comcast said that they fixed something. I don't know if that's true or not. We're gonna find out today. Hi, D&D. How you doing, man? Anyway, we were talking to something about Mikotoba that we found out, and blah 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 blah, yada yada yada. None of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we? Oh, the photograph that they had together. No, that's so true. Whatever that photograph is. Oh, the Judge Jigoku photograph that they had with, Damn. We are jumping into this in confusion because I don't remember what happened entirely last week, when we played this last time. So, you mentioned a favor that you'd like to ask me. Well, this fateful trial that you're fighting, one way or another, it will be over before long. And when it is, I'd like you to accompany me back to Japan. What? Why? You want me to do... What? Father, what's the meaning of this? Now, Suzato, you should understand. You've seen how our courts work firsthand. Japan's judicial system is in its infancy, especially when it comes to defense. Oh, you mean the Supreme Court Adjudicator is in desperate need of a good defense lawyer. As soon as possible. Really quite urgently, in fact. What the fuck do you need me over there for? But I've not even been in London a year yet. I've read all of Suzato's reports. I'm well aware of your extraordinary talents. And having seen you in action with my own eyes early today, there's no question. You, Naruhodo, are precisely the man our country needs. What is it with these state secrets, dude? So, you'd be leaving then, Runo? Damn it. But then, what am I supposed to do, Father? You came here to serve as Asogi's judicial assistant. Oh yeah, she's supposed to be Kazuma's assistant. Our government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with his situation, though. His situation's complicated, of course it is. You've always chosen your own path, Suzato, and I trust your judgment. In this matter, Oso. Wow, that's a lot of trust. Father! Faja! Please, the pair of you, don't look so downcast. It's merely a suggestion, you understand? A hope, if I'm honest. And I won't force you. All I ask is that you consider it and come to a decision by the time this trial concludes. That's kind of fast. Yes. Alright. You won't leave, will you, Runo? Oh, for God's sake, Iris, why? Don't do that. Don't do the puppy dog eyes. The thought hadn't even crossed my mind. Up until now, I've just been trying to do what I believe to be Kazuma's will. But it turns out that he's still alive, so where does that leave me? Where does that leave me? Maybe exposing Lord Stronghart, perhaps? That fucker. Still don't trust him. Well, if you'll excuse me now. I need to telegram government ministers and the Japanese police with this information about Asashin. Of course, Father. Thank you. I look forward to next month's installment, Miss Wilson. Oh, good. And please, do come to Baker Street sometime, won't you? We'd love to entertain you. I would be delighted. The best of luck for tomorrow, Naruhodo. And give my suggestion your full consideration, won't you? Yes, I will. Going back home, though? I don't like the idea. I'd like if you decide to say yes or go back to Japan. The game ends on case 4 and locks you out of case 5. But if you decide to go and stay here, it goes into case 5 immediately or something like that. You know, Kazuma-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk to him about all this. Yes, no doubt. Asa Shin. Of course, it's so obvious. How could I have neglected to consider the possibility before now? Where the fuck did you come up from, Sholmes? Ah, Mr. Shobes! Hurley, where have you been? Why, I joined you all for tea, of course. What an extraordinary question. What? I didn't notice you at all. No matter, no matter. Anyway, to more pressing concerns. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yeah? I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It is a matter of much urgency. To Japan, you mean? Tell me, to whom can I entrust the task? Quickly now, who? Well... My father has just now left to send a telegram to the Imperial Police Bureau of Japan himself. I see. Well, he looks reliable enough for a bearded fellow. What does that mean? I don't think what father sports could be considered a beard, Mr. Shows. There's not a moment to lose. I kindly ask your trusty unshaven father to see this is sent. I will, but what is it? No questions at this time, if you please, Miss Susato. All we can do is pray that for once, my deduction is awry. Doesn't it imply that your deductions are normally correct, Mr. Sholmes? Which isn't exactly now, then! You may be surprised to learn that I am a very busy man. I certainly have no time to hide behind settees and eavesdrop on other people's conversations. So that's what joining us for tea meant. Nice. I leave the sending of this in your hands, then, my dear fellows. Wow, he's been very serious there. Ah, wait a minute, Mr. Sholmes! He just sort of ran off, didn't he? At quite a pace. And left the unpaid bill for his tea behind, too. That motherfucker. I must catch up with father at the telegraph office at once. And I'll run and call us a cab. Straight away. But then they're gone. And there was me thinking everyone would be clamoring to pay Mr. Sholmes' bill. So do I... Well, I guess I don't have it, right? Yeah, okay, Where are we? We're in the Waterloo. Wait, yeah, no, we're here at the Waterloo Hotel. The only place we can go, apparently, is Mr. Vigil's hospital bed, which is... not where I want to go? There's no point in going to the consultancy. There's no point in going back to Sholmes' suite. No point in going to Lord Stronghart's office. We can't go back to the governor's office. We could go to the prison to talk to Zeke's for a bit, but I don't see the point. We could go back to the room, but what would we even find in there at this point? Probably nothing, if we're being honest. I guess we'll just go to the hospital bed then. That's the only place we can go. A hospital bed in St. Steiner's, where Mr. Vigil was recuperating, having lost consciousness in the witness stand. I remember now, he went insane. He literally, all the memories came flooding back to him, and it threw him into, literal insanity. Crazy thought, though. Crazy thought. What the fuck is this? Notification. I don't quite understand what's going on. What is this notification? Why do I have this notification? You know what? Forget it. 2nd November, St. Steiner's Hospital, Ward 3. This is the ward where Mr. Vigil was brought, apparently. To be frank, I'm a little worried about seeing him again. I think he's... no, he still looks very, very depressed. Ah, the lawyer. Hello again. Are you feeling better now, Mr. Vigil? Yes, thank you. Somewhat better. I'm so sorry to have caused you to, I mean, it was because of me. If I hadn't exposed your secret and forced you to remember things, you'd obviously try to forget. The prosecutor was here until a few moments ago, too. You just missed him. God damn it. I'll cause him to beat us to it. He said much the same as you. He was very apologetic. But the truth is, I brought all this upon myself. Please, don't think like that. Keeping it from Evie, my wife, all these years, I've carried such a sense of guilt. This guy literally he wanted to die on his horse. He didn't want to fall off it. But that's not the worst of it. Over time, I obviously came to deceive myself as well. Now that right there is the highest form of gaslighting. You mean about your dismissal? Looking back now, I'm beginning to think that perhaps Inspector Gregson didn't stumble across me by accident at all. I mean, he compensated me so generously for acting as his stand-in. He was clearly concerned for my well-being and doing what he could to help. But then, I remember now, supposedly Gregson was like one of the masterminds behind the whole Reaper shenanigans. So perhaps Gregson knew exactly what had become of Mr. Vigil all along then. I'm sure this is just desserts for 10 years of lies and deception, but it wasn't me that helped the professor escape 10 years ago. It wasn't me. I swear it. I swear it's true. Okay, but how? That was 10 years ago. Oh, Mr. Vigil. I'm sure you'd rather not dredge up even more of your past at this time, but if possible, could you tell us exactly what really happened? I want to. I need to get all this off my chest. Hey, healthy man right here. Well, working on being healthy. I just want someone to tell me what I should have done. I guess we'll find out what you should have did then when you tell us. Oh boy, okay. First off, Gregson's request. Inspector Gregson was obviously engaged in a special operation of some sort. He was investigating something that even Scotland Yard couldn't know about. What? Details of the Reaper's marks, yes. It was when he had to carry out those investigations that I would take his identification and impersonate him. You'd pretend to be the inspector and carry out investigations on his behalf? Oh no, never. A common street peddler couldn't possibly carry out a proper police investigation. All I would do is go to the specified location and make a little hoo-ha. So that means what? Just something to leave an impression, so everyone there would think a detective called Gregson was here. What? That's so what? Hi, Zoe. So, that's what you were doing on the day prior to the incident. Yes, he asked me to make an appearance at the park on Lime Street for the Red-Headed League event. So, as usual, I flashed the inspector's identification around and was very vocal about my presence. Wow, so literally Gregson just hired a guy to be a crier, essentially. But then you were taken prisoner by those red-headed fraudsters. Yes, so you would always make a point of showing Gregson's identification and generally being loud? That's what the inspector asked me to do, yes. Man, that's very specific, though. Every single... Wow. The alibis are strong. Well, that's one way of becoming a legendary detective, I suppose. Not a good one, though. And as you know, I suffered this bruising around my neck at their hands. But the following day, they kept their word and released me. Without returning the inspector's identification to you, however. We had arranged to meet in the Fresno Street room at 5 that day so I could report back to the inspector. But at the agreed time, that's when I heard the gunshot. What? So, wait, what? It was at midnight of 17 June 10 years ago. That was the time scheduled for the execution. Wait, let's go back to that for a second. We'd arranged to meet in the Fresno Street room at 5 that day so I could report back to the inspector, but at the agreed time, that's when I heard the gunshot. He heard the exact same fucking gunshot. I don't get it. That must have been the timer for the firecracker though, right? Because that still doesn't explain when Gregson actually died. Anyway, the prison escape. But the professor's execution never actually took place, did it? Or rather, the execution itself must have been used to affect the plan of escape. I hardly dare to imagine what a chilling plan it was. I sure as hell can't imagine that. Barclay was renowned for being the highest security prison in the country. Everything that went in or out of the place was searched multiple times. But there was one notable exception. Or rather, one notable loophole. Something that was never questioned. Huh? I have a feeling I know what that loophole was now. The coffins into which the bodies of the executed convicts were placed, correct? That makes sense. Yes. Once the coroner had confirmed the death of a condemned convict, the body was taken in its coffin for immediate burial in Lowgate Cemetery just behind the prison. The chief warder first had to sign the necessary papers. And after that, no members of staff was permitted to touch the coffin containing the body again. When executions took place, only the executioner and the coroner were permitted inside the chamber, so then both of those two were in on it? I would wait in the adjacent room for word that the condemned convict was dead. What the heck, so we didn't even get to see it? On that occasion, once I had that confirmation, I went into the mortuary to find a lone coffin, as usual. The procedure was that I would sign the paperwork having checked the coffin, then nail it shut. But for some reason that day, the coffin was already nailed shut. What? I didn't think anything of it at the time. I assumed that my deputy must have checked the coffin and nailed it shut before I arrived. So, you mean the coffin contained an alive professor? Yes, I can only imagine that Asogi, having escaped his execution somehow, was alive inside the coffin. The coffin was then taken out through the main gates and deposited in the Lowgate Cemetery. Presumably there wouldn't have been enough air inside to breathe for long, at least a day at most, right? So in the early hours following the burial, somebody dug up the coffin again to set Genshin free. But in the end, he was fatally shot in the graveyard anyway. What on earth really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night, I wonder? Shit, we're never gonna find that out, dude. The only ones who could ever find that information out from this point forward would be Mia Fey? And she doesn't exist in this game. And Asogi. And the person who actually shot at Asogi. Genshin, sorry. Whoever shot Genshin. Genshin himself would be able to answer that, and whoever shot Genshin could answer that. And maybe, I want to say maybe, Drebber might know that too, but I don't think so. I'm afraid I really don't know. All I can say with certainty are two things. Asogi couldn't possibly have escaped that way without help from somebody working in the prison. And that somebody was not me. He was literally just... Man, they set him up. They set him up hard. That sucks. Literally, the guy was just doing his job, and he thought that his job was already being completed faster. And then that happens, that he gets blamed that the professor was still going and up and alive and up, you know, all that kind of crap. Can't fucking believe that. Can't fucking believe that shit. That sucks. Okay, the convict Asogi. Obviously, you knew the man then. The professor, I mean. Genshin Asogi. Yes, I remember him well, in fact. Would you mind telling us what you know? Chat, tell me what you know. Well, having been condemned to death as he was, any contact I had with the man was short, obviously. After that trial, which was carried out behind closed doors, attended only by the elite members of the judiciary, they called for his execution to be carried out at the earliest possible opportunity. Why couldn't they just execute him in court? The outcome of the trial was set from the beginning, wasn't it? It was a time of delicate diplomacy when Britain and Japan were in the process of signing an important treaty. That meant that this potentially destabilizing case had to be dealt with swiftly and discreetly. The man had less than a week in total. As I was the chief warder, I oversaw his short stay in the cells until his final hour. I remember being struck deeply by his noble character and incredible resilience. What the fuck? This is such a departure. A literal serial murderer. It may as well just be a psychopath. What do you mean exactly? He was a killer of many men, but he was always quiet and polite. See, that right there. That right there is either psychopath or... sociopath doesn't fit it, but definitely psychopath. He was a gentleman and a man of intellect. In fact, I couldn't bring myself to believe what he'd done, so I asked him one day. What? Those 5 members of the aristocracy whose lives were taken, were you really responsible? I'm guilty of the unforgivable crime of ending another human's life, yes. Jeez. Jeez. The following day, the closed trial took place, and the verdict was no surprise. Guilty. Guilty! That night, when he was brought back to his cell, I saw something. Something unusual. Something unusual? What? What was it? Spit it out, man! The last will and testament. Huh? Of Genshin Asogi, huh? Wait, where is that? Asogi's will? As I said, it was on the night following his trial, after he'd been found guilty. I was doing the rounds of the cells, and when I looked into Asogi's, I noticed that he had seemed to have a sheet of paper in his hand. Ah, his last will and testament then, presumably. As soon as he noticed me, he hurriedly shoved it behind his back. Huh? Seems a bit out of character, huh? But why did you find that so unusual? Isn't it normal for a man to pen a will when he knows his death is nigh? Yes, that's true, but there were special conditions to Asogi's incarceration, you see. What sort of conditions? I imagine he can't have anything stabby-stab or anything really at all. Well, even though he was held in a cell designed for condemned inmates, he was allowed to keep his personal effects with him, with one exception. Really? He was allowed his things? That is unusual, certainly. Of course, he'd been convicted of killing 5 members of the aristocracy, but at the same time, he was a guest in our country from the Empire of Japan. Oh, God, no! The powers that be were determined that his final days shouldn't be needlessly uncomfortable. I mean, okay, but murder is murder. And what was the exception you mentioned to the personal effects he was allowed? That's the point. He wasn't permitted to have writing materials. Specifically, no pens or papers. Well, that makes sense then. But why, though? So, he was prevented from leaving any written record of what had happened to him? Yes, that was the long and short of it. No idea where he obtained that paper. Any writing materials would have been confiscated from him upon his incarceration. As I said, he hid the paper behind his back and then he pleaded with me. What? He pleaded? What did you just hide behind your back? Please, please turn a blind eye. This is my lifeline. But you know it's against the rules. You're the only person who's seen. If you just agree to keep quiet... Alright then, but what's on that paper? A last will and testament. This This will is the only weapon I have left now. Huh. So where is that will, then? That's what I want to know. How can a will be a weapon? So I decided to pretend I'd seen nothing, and I let him keep his will. But then later, it just seemed to vanish without trace. What? What do you mean it vanished? It would seem that that isn't the end of the story of this mysterious will. I wonder if Kazuma knows about us now, too, or something. I was the only person who saw Asogi's will, but somehow it disappeared. Paper airplane? No, please, paper airplanes wouldn't exist back then. It was after Asogi's execution, which was actually an elaborate jailbreak. One hell of a jailbreak that would make Prison Architect look really like... Imagine if an inmate from Prison Architect could escape via a fake execution. How fucked up would that be, dude? That would be so hard to catch. Like, some of the inmates that escape in Prison Architect are so hard to catch. But that one? Faking a death penalty? Whew, jeez. The warders gathered up Asogi's possessions that were in his cell, and were all to be sent back to his family home in Japan, you see. To poor Kazuma-sama. And you're saying that it wasn't anywhere to be found among his personal effects? The will, I mean? That's right, though I didn't search through them myself. But Governor Caden was livid. He was screaming. It cannot have disappeared completely. Yeah, but how? That doesn't quite make sense, though, does it? In what way? Well, we'd understood that only Mr. Vigil was aware of the will's existence. In which case, how did the prison governor know to look for it? Huh? Wait, what? Oh, wait a minute. That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. How? Wait. I really don't know how he knew, but it certainly seemed as though he knew of the will's existence from the outset. Only he didn't refer to it as a will. What he said was... the Asogi papers. Huh? The Asogi paper. I really can't tell you anything of the subsequent events. Because, well, what happened? Your dismissal, and the way you blocked it out from all your memory. I'd forgotten all this until today. I don't suppose it's relevant to the case, though. Well, anyway, thank you very much for sharing with us, Mr. Vigil. We're very grateful. And now we gotta find a will, but where the fuck are we gonna find a will? Like, there's only one... No, not even. I was gonna, like, suggest that possibly, maybe, perhaps, it's at the Waxwork Museum, but that is so extremely unlikely because that would have implied that, Genshin was carrying the will with him onto his fake death, or his fake execution, right? And had it on his person. And then when he was already out of Barclay and in the cemetery, buried, and was shot, that would be the only time, literally the only time that you could... I mean, it's possible. It might be the only time he could have gotten the will if it was with him out in his person. But I don't know. I don't. It's kind of hard to say if that's really what happened, you know? I mean, I would like to believe it, but then that would mean that, what's the thing? It would make me have to get back to the Waxwork Museum, somehow. I'm afraid there's really little more I can tell you. My wife, Evie, will be here shortly, so I do hope I don't appear rude, but... Oh, no, not at all. Thank you again. But what will become of you now? Well, impersonating a police officer is a criminal offense, of course. I imagine that once I'm fully recovered, I shall be arrested. Oof. I'm sorry to hear that, dude. Don't be, please. This was all my own doing. I always knew that this day would come. Well, I wish you well. Goodbye, Mr. Vigil. Ah! Whoa, wait! Before you go, there's just one thing. Yes? What is it? The Asogi papers. I'd be very grateful if you'd make no mention of the things I told you about them. Presumably for some good reason. It's my understanding that their very existence is a closely guarded secret. Wow, that's not going to be the first closely guarded secret I ended up sharing with the court. If it became known that I'd remembered, well, it could be rather troublesome, I think. How much more troublesome could it possibly be? I understand. Do you, though? Some sort of will that Genshin Asogi penned just before his death, which the man himself claimed was his last weapon. But I wonder, perhaps it had something to do with his plan to escape. If there's anyone who might know more about a document that Cosmo's father left behind, it would be Mr. Vigil's governor. Oh no, I really don't want to talk to him. Then we know precisely where we must go. Back to Barclay Prison. That's what I was afraid of. I really do not want to talk to... I don't want to talk to, the governor. Yeah, I really don't want to talk to the governor. His fucking accent is impossible to fucking understand, man. But okay, fine. We'll go back to the governor. Barclay Prison, baby! Barclay Prison! Oh, back again, are you? Yeah. Yes. Hello. I've heard all about your investigations. I read the report just now. You found him, eh, Vigil? Yes, luckily. Well, anywho, the laddie doesn't work here no more, so your case is not to do with Barclay. I wouldn't have liked you to get the wrong idea about that. I can't understand him, dude. Of course, yes, Mr. Vigil stopped working here 10 years ago now, so... Yes, we've seen his dismissal notice, haven't we? He was given the chop. Aye, Kimmer, you can very well. So how about a wee handcuff biscuit? Oh, there really are like little handcuffs, and as hard as irons too. So, what's brought you down here today? Well, there's something else we'd like to ask you about, actually. Is that so? That biscuit has not lost any... I don't want to try one of those biscuits. We believe there might have been a document that disappeared from Genshin Asogi's cell. I can't wait to see his reaction here. I think it's been called the Asogi Papers or something. Did I know say Gregson's death is not to do with things that might have happened at Barclay? Leave the past in the past, laddie. Let's not fritter about with irrelevant details. His expressions changed completely. We're clearly onto something here. Unfortunately, I feel like we might have to present something in order to get him to talk. 10-year-old legacy! That murderer's botched execution and the whole miserable escape. They were Barclay's darkest hour, a shocking embarrassment. Because the convict had a collaborator on the prison staff, you mean? Aye. For shame. Coroner had confirmed the death of the man after his execution, Courtney Sif. What the fuck? I mean, I had a feeling, but fuck. And my chief warder at the time, Vigil, who was in charge of the whole affair. But Mr. Vigil says he didn't know anything about it. The Rasker would not say otherwise, eh? More handcuffs? Oh, how could I say no? You can never have too much iron in your diet. Yes, you can. When Mr. Vigil was handed his dismissal notice as a result of what had happened, he was so despairing he jumped out of your office window, didn't he? I did not like to say, but that's just Vigil trying to get out of it. Do you not think he would not have jumped from the shock of his crimes being exposed, eh? I do. You would not say otherwise, though, would ya? Of course, I cannot shun all responsibility to myself. I should not have let him deceive me. I wish I could get this guy's accent down. Actually, there's barely anybody that kens what went on at the time. My god, I just can't. I can't with this guy's accent. With Gregson having been murdered and Dr. Sif forbidden from having any visitors. No visitors? But one obviously doesn't want her giving anything away. Well, we're not going home empty-handed. And I wouldn't dream of sending you packing with, without Kimmer. Here, take a handcuff or two. Oh, well, it would be rude to say no. Wouldn't that be... I wouldn't want to become anemic. What the fuck? I suppose if there's anybody who might still know about, what happened back then, it'd be that last from the forensic division, Maria Gori. Ah, what a fucking name. Maria Gori? Aye, Sif's daughter. She didn't have no more, she did not have no more, just the one. Oh, yeah, okay. But the wee bairns followed her in her mam's footsteps. You didn't, oh my god. Nammy, speak like this for me, please. You don't ever see her without a scalpel in her hand. And I remember meeting her. She was very, she really wanted to cut things. Oh, we never saw her face either. Mama, what is this? Where did she spring from? And did she just call the doctor Mama? Dr. Sif's daughter, Maria Gori. We could do with talking to her. Do I really want to, though? That sounds like an awful fucking idea. So, she's Dr. Sif's daughter, but her surname is Gori? Aye, there's some family history, I'm sure, but I did not ken... What is ken supposed to mean in this context? But I did not ken the ins and outs of it. I'm gonna have to start speaking like a robot with this man. She grew up watching her mam working with the bodies of folk who had died in strange circumstances, and decided to do the same with her own life. I cannot understand it myself. I can't, man. I can't do that voice forever. It's so silly. It's so stupid. Perhaps she was driven by a deep respect for her mother? Mother? Question mark? Perhaps. Anywho, she was in charge of Gregson's autopsy, I believe. Oh. Right, and the coroner responsible for this incomplete report. Someone told me once that the wee lassie always loved her mam's stories about cutting up bodies. Red flag. There's even a rumor that she used to listen to the funeral march as a lullaby. How many red flags can one person have, dude? Well, then perhaps her mother might have told her about the autopsy from the case 10 years ago. Aye, I'd say there's a fighting chance at least. After all, that was a life-changing case for all of us. We really need to speak to Miss Gori herself about this, I think. I really don't want to. Well, thank you very much. I'm no happy about any part of this. It took years for Londoners to finally forget the whole professor business. Can you not give up on this, laddie? Stop asking pointless questions. I'm sorry, I don't like dredging up these painful memories for everyone, but I have to. Can you not just stay away, no? Can you just stay away, no? Leave me alone and do not come back here, eh? No. We have to talk still about the papers. How do you come to know about that, laddie? There's no many folk even here in the prison who've heard all those who heard all of those papers. Ah, well, I can't tell if Mr. Vigil told me. I'm afraid our sources must remain confidential, sir. Huh. We've been led to believe the papers are actually a last will and testament. Is that right? The professor's, or rather, Genshin Asogi's. You're gonna cave? Aye, that's right. You're well informed, Jimmy. Oh, is that the end of the silent treatment? Then after the convict's execution, it mysteriously vanished from his cell, didn't it? My havers, no, you're off you're off at half cock there. I think you did not quite get your facts straight. It was there in the cell, exactly where it should have been. Oh, not what we heard elsewhere. Let me just have a wee look. Me hook around in here. I'm sure I can find it. Wait, you have it? Aye, here you are. See? The last will and testament of Genshin Asogi, written with a calligraphy brush. Of course, I cannot read a word of those Japanese squiggles. But on mine it says he leaves all his worldly possessions to his son back in his homeland. Yes, that's correct. That's the gist of it. So these are the Asogi papers? Aye, of course they are. Papers written by Asogi, no doubt about it. There's no mystery here, laddie. That's your lot. After all the stramish of that slaster of an execution, I can't pronounce what he said. We sent the man's possessions back to his clan in Japan, and that was the end of it. I think we ought to make a record of this, Mr. Naruhodo, just in case. The last will and testament of Genshin Asogi that Mr. Vigil claims disappeared after the convict's execution. Apparently, Mr. Asogi described it as the only weapon I have left. One thing before you go on your way, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yeah? Those papers are not to do with Grex's death. I prefer it if you didn't make no mention of them outside this office. Or rather, I wouldn't just prefer it, consider it an order from the highest levels of our government. Damn, that's very specific. Alright, I understand, but I can't make a promise on that one. I, Genshin Asogi, hereby request that upon my death, any and all material possessions and wealth belonging to me in London be delivered to my son, Kazuma Asogi, in the Empire of Japan. It is with deep sadness that I accept my fate in this foreign land and the knowledge that I will never see my homeland or family again, but I regret nothing about my chosen path. What the fuck, dude? Why do I get the feeling this is fate? You know who else we realized we could check on? You know, I know he said not to show anyone, but like, hey, Mr. Vigil, this is an awful idea. Well, at least he seems to be on the mend. You know, his disguise as Mr. Gossip was really quite masterful, wasn't it? I can't remember anything about it except for the floppy lip. I imagine not even his wife would have recognized him. Perhaps, but did he really have to take it quite so far? I guess we can't talk to him then. Okay. Literally the only thing I can do right now is go to the prosecutor's office because we've exhausted our locations to go. Prosecutor's office! Hey, he's here! Should we really be... I don't know about this. Kazuma. I thought it wouldn't be long before you paid me a visit, Ryo Nasuki. I was right about what I said, wasn't I? Sorry? You have all the makings of a great defense lawyer. Well, at least he's kind right now. Well, I always believed that you'd fulfill your dream of advocating in the British courts. I just never imagined for 1 second that it would be as a prosecutor. No kidding. Seeing you stand in a foreign courtroom so gallantly realizing your dream, Kazuma-sama, I'm truly happy for you. even though he's kicking our ass. And I am truly thankful to you, Judicial Assistant Mikotoba. Ria Nasuki, I always thought it would be fun for you and I to shake up the British legal system a little together. This isn't quite how I envisaged it, though. I suppose it's just another twist of fate. I've learned a lot of things during my time in London. About how Suzato-san's father was himself a visiting student here once, along with Judge Jigoku. And about what happened with your father. Then you'll have no difficulty understanding why I had no choice, why I had to find a way to get to Britain as a visiting student myself. Understandable. I want to hear it from you, Kazuma. As you wish, Ria Nasuki Naruhodo. Oh man, okay, there's a lot to go here. It's getting on for a year now since what happened on the SS Burra. Where you died, supposedly. We're heading across the oceans from Japan to Great Britain. When a bizarre series of coincidences led to those tragic events. I thought I'd lost my best friend forever. I must have been unconscious for a long time. When I awoke, I was lying on a bed. It was a narrow little room. There was a posy of flowers by the pillow. It took me a little while to realize that I was in the cabin of a ship. I slipped out of the room and headed up onto the deck. Were you already suffering from amnesia at that point? Yes, I didn't know what had happened or where I was. There was just this voice in my head. You have something you have to do, something no one else can know about. Go to Great Britain, your task awaits you there. It was a calling I couldn't ignore. It compelled me relentlessly. Out on deck, I saw that I was on a huge steamship and we were docked in a large port. It must have been Hong Kong. Yes, it must have been, presumably just before they were due to carry your body off the ship. I had no idea of the situation, but I did have the feeling that this was in some way my last chance. First off, though, how did he survive so long without food if he already made it to Hong Kong at that point? So I concealed myself among the disembarking passengers and went ashore. Then I disappeared into the crowded streets of that foreign port city, so I could plan my onward journey to Great Britain. Jesus, but how? Just under a year ago, of all my past memories lost to me, I was left behind in Hong Kong. Everything was foreign to me. The sights, the sounds, the smells. My head reeled. I was truly at a loss. I realized now that I'd escaped as a dead man with nothing but the clothes on my back. No money, of course. Oh, how terrifying for you. Luckily, though, I had 2 feathers in my cap. One being your knowledge of English, I suppose? That's right. And on the back of that, I was able to pick up some work as a deckhand on a cargo ship. Eventually, after calling at countless ports, I finally arrived at Dover. That must have been some 3 months ago now. Damn, you only just barely arrived then. Your formidable tenacity of purpose showing itself again. I mean, the man had lost his memory and had literally nothing to his name. But he still managed to make his way to London on the opposite side of the world. What the fuck, dude? Of course, I had no idea why I'd move heaven and earth to get here at that point. So, how did you end up becoming Lord Van Zeek's apprentice then? That can only be called an extraordinary stroke of luck, really. You see, I was stopped at the border because I had no papers. It took me straight to Scotland Yard, and by sheer coincidence, Lord Stronghart was there to attend a meeting. And that's when the second feather in my cap came into play. Would that have been your knowledge of the law? Yes, exactly. Lord Stronghart was curious about an Easterner with intimate knowledge of British law. He took me back with him to the Supreme Court and assigned me to the prosecutor's office. And then, 9 days ago, You finally got your memory back after the trial involving Drebber. Yes, I did. Incredible, really. So, about your father, then. Ever since I first met you at Yume, you talked about your dream. Mark my words, Ryunosuke, I'll be chosen as a visiting student and make my way to Great Britain someday. But it was all because of the father. Did you know the entire time about what happened to your father here? 16 years ago, when my father left on that exciting trip to Great Britain, I was just a boy. We took a photograph together the day before his departure. It's my last memory of him. But what I remember most about my father is his unswerving sense of justice. Interesting choice of words, right? After we just played Undertale Yellow. Well, recently played Undertale Yellow. 6 years ago, after he left, a gentleman called at our family home. He told me that Genshin, my father, had been taken ill in England and passed away. What? That's what they told him? It was Professor Mikotoba, your father, Suzato-san. Oh my! Ever since then, the professor was very good to me. He even helped to fund my university education at Yume. I'll be forever in his debt. But nevertheless, I just couldn't bring myself to believe what he'd told me. Oh. Then one day, a letter arrived at our house from Britain. There was no indication of the sender, so I opened it assuming it was from an old acquaintance of my father. What I read in that letter changed my entire life. What did it say? It said that my father had been a mass murderer, and the writer cursed the Asogi name. Oh, why do I get the feeling that it was Zeke's? As a result of that letter, I found out what had been hidden from me all those years. I can only think it's Zeke's. Presumably the letter was sent from a relative of one of the victims. Well, that does look possible too. If whoever it was had been a member of the judiciary, he could have been present at the closed trial. The letter revealed that my father had been sentenced to death, executed for being a killer. I'm so sorry you had to find out that way. I imagine the British government did its very best to silence whoever sent that letter. But someone who knew the truth and couldn't bear the resentment was always going to be a problem. But still, it could have been written by anyone. Why would you believe such a thing? There was a newspaper cutting included with the letter. It was the first I'd ever heard of the professor and his terrible killing spree. Well, what did my father have to say about the letter? Probably never showed him. I couldn't bring myself to show it to him. What? Why not? Because he deliberately concealed the truth from me by telling me my father was taken by a fatal illness. That couldn't have been easy for him, and he'd done it out of consideration for my feelings. So instead, I showed the letter to Judge Jogoku. What? Wait. To the other visiting student. He faltered for the briefest of moments, but then he just laughed the letter off. And in that moment, I saw it on his face. He was undeniably shocked, shaken momentarily before recovering his poise. Damn, okay. A year later, my bereaved mother succumbed to the strain of grief, and she too passed away. That's when I made up my mind that one day, without fail, I would cross the sea to Britain and seek the truth for myself. It looks weird. It's gotta be because of the suit, right? The truth about my father, Genshin Asogi, and I wouldn't let anyone stand in my way. Oh, Kazuma-sama. Bruh. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because this suit is weird, or maybe it's because you see, like, this part right over here, if you see my mouse, it's a little weird because it's like his muscles seem to be bulging out or something. What we learned today in court turned things completely on their head. It was an impressive piece of lawyering, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Lord Van Zeeks isn't the Reaper, you know. I almost don't want to believe it myself, but it turns out that Inspector Gregson himself, the victim, was. It's clear that the Inspector was behind the Reaper's activity all along. What? You mean you knew, you bitch? The real question is, who's been giving orders to the Inspector? Now this is where I'm not trusting Lord Stronghart anymore. Yes, Barrick Van Zeeks is the real Reaper. And I know that 10 years ago, it was him who decided my father must be a mass murderer and sent him to his grave. No, he was merely seeing that justice was done as the law dictates. He's not to blame. Ultimately, it's people who condemn people. The law is just a tool that they can use to do it. He's not wrong about that. And when a man condemns another, he must take responsibility for his actions. Of course he must. But I know for certain that my father would have never taken another man's life. On the contrary, my father's life was taken by the Reaper. Hey, I know I'm not supposed to present this, but... Cosimo, what do you make of this? Nothing. There's only one place where defense lawyers and prosecutors should discuss evidence, the courtroom. So it seems you're still confused by the situation. That's what I make of it. I get the feeling my friend's always gonna have the edge over me, isn't he? Brah! Can I show you this at least? Cosimo, this is your armband. Actually, I think it's yours now. Sorry? You're the defense lawyer. You have a talent for it. I've always known that you would. And now you've chosen to take that path in life. As your friend, I couldn't be happier for you. Or more proud. Ha! Kazuma. So you keep hold of that. Besides, I'm a prosecutor now. The armband would have no meaning for me. Well, if you're sure. Thank you, my friend. Well, I'm not allowed to show him anything, but I should at least ask, hey, what's up with this in the middle? What the? It's a scale model of the crime scene. Oh, yes, I realized that. Does the prosecution office make a model of the scene for every single case? Apparently so. Sometimes it helps to visualize things better and notice things you hadn't spotted before. Actually, the miniature notice board is my work. Be honest, you enjoyed making that. I would. Okay, well, I don't think there's anything else I can do here, so, Hey, are you gonna use one of these hallowed chalices? Yes, he's extremely particular about all that. He has a strict regime for everything, from the storage of the casts to the bottling of their contents. Gosh, you must have you must be really having a tough time of being his apprentice. Actually, no. Oh? He's so particular about it all, he refuses to let anybody else touch any of it. So it's been quite easy for me, in fact. Talk about weird. Oh, beautiful. Hey, you want to play chess? There's Lord Van Zeek's incredibly stylish desk. It's not my style, though. No, I noticed you've been working at that little table on the floor, kneeling down Siza style. I thought it was some kind of punishment set up by Lord Van Zeek's when I first saw it. I find it the most comfortable way to work. I can't do it. After a couple of minutes of sitting with my legs folded under me, they start to go tingly. Don't exaggerate, Ryonosuke. We both know you can't even manage a minute. You know you both can't. Wow, we both know you can't even manage a minute. Bruh. Just the fucking burn. The burn is real, though. Damn. You don't have to do me dirty like that. Fuck. Do you know who the man in the portrait is? Why would I? What? But you're Lord Van Zeek's apprentice! Yes, apprentice, not friend. And during the time I was suffering from amnesia, I didn't even notice that picture. Oh, really? I mean, it's not the smallest picture. I wouldn't have the first idea what the man decorates his office with. And he doesn't even want to know. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. But just so you know, that's one of the dudes that Genshin killed. I feel like I should point that out to you. Did the bats come at me? Yup. Wah! You disturbed the bats, did you? Fitting companions of Lord Van Zeeks, wouldn't you say? Actually, I've seen things flying in Lord Stronghart's office too. Doves, I think? Perhaps you have to like birds to attain rank in the judiciary here. Although bats aren't birds, of course. Of course not! How about a sparrow for you? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, nothing. Sorry. Just thinking out loud. Why a sparrow, of all fucking things? Okay, well, I guess... Wait, there's something to still talk about. Casts floor to ceiling, just like the last time we were here. Hallowed barrows, I suppose. They're arranged according to vintage, flavor, and region. What the fuck? Every week, they're all taken out and put back in order. What? Every week? Lord Van Zeeks can't seem to settle on the perfect way of arranging them, you see. Vintage, flavor, and region don't neatly coincide, that's the trouble. Gosh, being his apprentice must be a real challenge. Actually, no. Oh? He considers the task too important to entrust to anybody else, so he does it entirely on his own. Man, this reminds me, I was talking to one of my coworkers, yesterday. He is in charge of counting the cigarette inventory every week on Friday. It says it takes him 3 to 4 hours to do it, and we're talking like $15 million of inventory just in cigarettes. We're talking an entire room literally dedicated to just cigarettes, stacked up almost like halfway to the ceiling. And that room has like 9, maybe 10 cameras in it. It's insane how many cameras they have. That's just one room. There's another room that has more cigarettes. And the inventory that they actually have on the sales floor, cameras from every angle. You are not stealing anything from that if you even think about it. You will be seen from not only one angle, but from like another 4 angles. They have that many cameras on there. It's like, crap, Jesus, fuck. So, he's a barrel of laughs here and in the court then. Well, that's all I can do here. Thanks, Kazuma. I think maybe we probably can't discuss any evidence, but okay. Fuck. I guess let's go back to Shom Suite? I don't know, man. Do you care about the Asogi papers? Nope. Objection!
Objection!
Maybe Shomes is here or something? Well, no. He's not here, but his violin is back. And nothing there. Do you have anything to say? No. Okay, let's go somewhere else. Let's go up here because I have no idea what to do now. Apparently, it's the only place I can go to. What to do? Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? It's rather unusual to find ourselves here in the middle of our investigation. Shut the fuck up! It's just occurred to me that I might have forgotten something when we left this morning. Please don't worry. As long as you continue to investigate thoroughly, you won't go far wrong. Oh, yes, of course. I must get back to work as soon as possible. Okay, so that tells me that I should probably go check out the room. But hey, do you care about these papers? About this, Mrs. Zato, do you notice anything unusual about it, perhaps? Nope. Double my efforts and research more. think perhaps you're taking your role as judicial assistant a little too far. Okay, so let's go... not that. Let's go back to the room. The Fresno Street room, because maybe there might be something we missed. I doubt it, though. I really doubt it. Room on Fresno Street. Can we even do anything here? There are details of cases stretching back over 10 years ago. Yes, a history of Lord Van Zeek's defeats in court. I don't think that's an appropriate description. Although, when you consider everything on the board, it's certainly true that all of these people had a background of dubious dealings. And in the end, of course, the board itself concealed the inspector's own death. Damn. Oh my, it really doesn't bear thinking about. The fucking picture. The photograph of Mrs. Vigil. Realizing the identity of this lady was a very great clue to exposing Mr. Gossip's true identity. He obviously loves his wife. He loves his wife very dearly. Which is why he felt he couldn't tell her the truth. The transformation was incredible, wasn't it? Just from that big twisted lip. The lip was the best selling part. Yes, he went to extraordinary efforts to play the part of Huge Bone convincingly. Although, it didn't really seem like it was much of an effort to me. Now you say it, I have to agree. It's almost as if Mr. Vigil's, that was Mr. Vigil's true character. People really are very hard to fathom at times. No shit. I imagine Scotland Yard is going to be here, like, literally all day. And I don't think there's anything we can glean from this anymore. I'm pretty sure we've already, like, read this dialogue. So, like, I'm only going through it to just maybe, like, catch something at this point. But what am I trying to catch in this room? You mustn't think of committing any crimes, Mr. Naruhodo. I wasn't! Hi, Zoe. This revolver, just who does it belong to? Well, we know it's of the type issued to members of the police force and judiciary, but Gregson's own gun was found in his person. And, of course, Lord Van Zeeks has admitted to losing the firearm which he was issued. Such absent-mindedness, not dissimilar to you, Mr. Naruhodo. It's true, though. Starting to think the cold, hard prosecutor and I could become friends after all. And I wish you every success. We already looked at this and it was a key. Yeah, watch winding key. I suppose it's a policeman because the pocket watch was a gift from Scotland Yard. It seems there was much more to Inspector Gregson than we ever realized. He was clearly a brilliant man. It's the fish and chips that threw us off. I feel as though it ruined his image. I really don't think we should blame one of Britain's staple cuisines. Think about it. Imagine if it was Mr. Shomes. How would you feel if instead of that old briar pipe that is always in his hands, Mr. Shome had a bag of chips? Rather disappointed, if I'm honest. Exactly. It doesn't even look right in my head when I think about that either. It's like, what? No, that doesn't feel right at all. Don't give Shomes that. No. All right, let's check the prison. Maybe Zeeks will want to talk or something. Do you care about the papers? What's that? Nothing. Wow, I'm lost. I don't know what to do now. We've already went there. Maybe check Stronghart, I guess? Nope. Okay. Maybe back to the hotel? Nope. Okay. Oh my god, I am lost. I'm actually lost. The only persons available right now are Van Zeeks and Kazuma. Are you sure we've asked everything we need to, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, shit, I don't know. I guess I'll just have to start going through things then. It's not the photo. The identification? Nope. The pocket watch? Nope. The photograph? The Reaper. At last I get to take my revenge. Kazuma? Lord Van Zeeks isn't responsible for your father's death, and he's not the Reaper. He's the defendant and deserving of a fair trial. You mean like the one my father had? Okay, to be fair, that was a very unfair trial. It's a closed trial now too. The conditions are exactly as they were 10 years ago. And even if it ruffles some feathers, I have to plan to show that man for what he really is. Kazuma. He's pissed about that, for sure. And that's like the only reaction we're gonna get out of evidence from him. He doesn't care about the board. Do you care about this crime scene floor? Nope. Do you care about the autopsy report? You do. This came up in the trial, didn't it? That's something a little dubious, I mean. The fact that no time of death was recorded on Inspector Gregson's autopsy report. Wait a minute, don't we have to talk to Dr. Sif? Or Dr. Sif's daughter? Yes, there were some unexpected turns in the courtroom earlier. The suggestion you came up with certainly took everyone by surprise. The idea that the victim died the previous day at some other location is quite something. Well, considering when the pocket watch had stopped and the scorch marks on the candle, it's certainly a distinct possibility. The evidence in the scene both point to it. To be honest, it bothered me too, so I paid a visit to the autopsy room earlier. The coroner responsible wasn't there, but I got a name. It's Dr. Gory. Yeah, we have to talk to her. If it were to trouble you, Kazuma-sama, we'd very much like to speak with the coroner too. Of course, the last thing I want is for anything to be brushed under the carpet. Scotland Yard's autopsy laboratory is behind Lowgate Cemetery. Lowgate Cemetery? By Barclay Prison, you mean? Ah, you know it, do you? The prison where my father was incarcerated and robbed of his life. Kazuma-sama. Well, thank you. We'll pay a visit to the lab later today. Well, that's it then. Okay, we figured it out. Now we got a direction. Ryunosuke, I want to thank you. What for? For this. You safeguarded the soul of the Asogi clan. Well, it is a famous sword that's been in your family for generations. My only slight regret is that I never got the chance to draw it before I returned it to you. Karuma is said to have been forged by a master swordsmith during the Sengoku Warring States period. That's a very specific time that I only am familiar with because of, like, what is it, samurai warriors, I want to say? I come from a long lineage of warriors, many of whom were expert swordsmen. Well then, you're a chip off the old block, I'd say. This blade, Karuma, I don't know why I'm calling it Karama, is the symbol of the Asogi clan's honor and might. Apparently, one of my father's apprentices even took the blade's name for her surname. Really? Karuma? It does sound formidable, that's for sure. 16 years ago, when my father was a visiting student here in London, he had this sword forever at his side, which is why it means so much to me that I have it by my side again now, too. And that is all thanks to you. It was an honor. Now, I have preparations to make for tomorrow. Perhaps I said a little too much. Kazuma, you've changed. No, Ryunosuke, I haven't changed at all. It's you who's changed. I can completely understand your resentment of Lord Van Zeeks given what happened. But the fact is, those events in this case are, well, unrelated. Is that what you want to say? How can you be so sure? What do you mean? Never mind. That man is the Reaper, and it's for that reason that the Inspector was killed. I'm going to prove as much in court tomorrow, by whatever means necessary. Just don't forge evidence. I can't let you do that, Kazuma. I know you'll do what you have to as a lawyer, but I'm sure I don't need to tell you that I won't be taking any prisoners in the courtroom. I would expect nothing less. Until tomorrow, then, in the Old Bailey. He's gonna fucking kick my ass. Hey, the forensic lab! We can go talk to the lady! Let's go. Even though I really don't want to talk to her. Oh my fucking god, it's gone even worse. Now there's dolls all over the place. This place really is creepy, isn't it? Well, being a dead room, it's probably full of the spirits of the dissected. Thanks for that. But actually, there's a rather pleasing scent of roses in the air. Well, being a dead room, the coroner probably needs a bold scent like that to mask the odor of death. Iris, do you think we could change the subject? Hi, Zoe. What are you doing? Ah, yes. The coroner is currently playing with their knives. What was that? Gee, I wonder what it could be. A girl sharpening her knives. Dr. Gory? Butcher's knife and a... Just a knife. What? That noise before. I was sharpening my tools. I'd be dead meat if I didn't keep a perfectly keen edge on them. Right. When following the collagen fibers in the dermis, an expertly sharpened scalpel cuts like cheese. Would you like a demonstration? Oh, yes, please. I'd love to see. Iris, what the fuck? Then, I think you'll do nicely. Huh? No! No, I wouldn't do nicely at all. I mean, maybe some other time. Tisk. Was that a tut? Well, we came here to ask questions, so... First off, is there any reason why you're gonna keep that mask on forever? We have actually met before. I'm a lawyer, if you remember. You're not dead yet. What? So Mama said I wasn't to cut you open. She's so strict about things like that. What she has to be! Well, good. Dr. Sif has some scruples, at least. Oh dear. It looks like she's not interested in talking to us. For the time being, anyway. For the time being? You mean until we die? I hope that's a ways off. Sorry, but I wasn't planning on dying anytime soon. Tisk. Surely there's some less drastic way of making her listen. I don't know, it depends if I can present something that would actually matter to her. Like the Asogi papers? Could I ask your opinion about this? Nah, don't forget, you're responsible for putting my mom in jail! Ha ha ha! Damn. Why should I help you? Dr. Gory, we actually came here to ask you about this. He was very good. Good? Sorry? His skin didn't snag my blade once, and very little mess. His joints dislocated easily, and his muscle tissue was a pleasure to work with. What the fuck kind of compliments are those? We can skip those details. But there is one thing about the report that's caught my attention. You don't seem to have recorded a time of death. Oh, hi. That's not my fault. Oh, that made me jump. Then please, tell us what happened. Gotta take a picture real quick. So, why doesn't this autopsy report include the victim's time of death then? It's really the most crucial detail. I was told not to write it. What? By who? Yeah, by whom? This motherfucker. This actual motherfucker. Remember how I said I don't trust that man? Yeah, no, I seriously do not trust him anymore. Oh boy, okay. I swear to God, if this is a Damon Gant situation, and Stronghart is like the penultimate fucking, like, mastermind behind all of this, oh man, I'm gonna be pissed. Male Stronghart, the Lord Chief Justice, he came here. Lord Stronghart came? He said that from the witness statements about the gunshot and the other evidence, it was obvious. The man clearly died at 5 p.m. on 1st November when the gunshot was heard. Oh man. But that's not the time of death you wrote on that report. You didn't write anything. Was there some reason you didn't include it? Dr. Gory, if you're hiding something under Lord Strongheart's instructions, then sooner or later you're going to go to the same way as your mother. Oof. Give it here then. What's she scribbling so furiously? There. You've written... What? What's she written? Tell us. Indeterminate? But... According to the coroner, Dr. Gory, an accurate estimation of the time of death is not possible. Oh, that changes a lot then. Because now we don't have a time as to when he was dead. Which means the 5 o'clock thing, impossible. That just derails that one entirely. What do you mean by that? Why was the time of death indeterminate? When the specimen was brought in, it was still fresh, so the time of death could easily have coincided with when the gunshot was heard. But there was one small discrepancy. What discrepancy? There was some fried fish in the pocket of the specimen's overcoat. And that fish had started to rot. Oh man, okay, then he would have been dead for a while at that point. What? If the victim liked fried fish, he presumably liked to eat it before it went off. Well, yes. What are you really trying to say? It's possible that someone tried to manipulate the apparent time of death. Manipulate? Is that even possible to do? Theoretically, if you were to chill the body in ice, you could delay the onset of putrefaction. And if the overcoat wasn't on the body at the time, then only the fish would have started to rot. With today's science, it's not yet possible to determine if the body was chilled or not. But today's science is advanced enough to let you freeze a corpse, it seems. But surely, to chill a corpse like that would require an enormous electrical refrigerator. And I don't imagine many households here in London are equipped with such a device. No, definitely not, but maybe in a factory or some other special places. I don't recall seeing any factories or such like on Fresno Street, though. Wait a minute. Did we have someone talk about something somewhere that someone owned that was from the Redheaded Brothers? I wonder if the inspector's body had been chilled somehow. What might the actual time of death have been? I couldn't say for sure. But at the most, it must have been a day earlier. No! In other words, it would corroborate your previous deduction, Mr. Naruhodo. That Inspector Gregson was killed a day before his body was discovered at a different location. Did you inform Lord Stronghart of this possibility? He simply said that there were no electrical refrigerators of that size in the vicinity. I guess that's one way to... Oh yes, one other thing. It's something the governor of Barclay Prison told us. He said that your mother, Dr. Sif, was responsible for confirming the death of the professor after his execution. Ah, just one bombshell after another against her. The professor. Apparently you always enjoyed listening to your mother's stories about her work, so we were wondering if you might know something about what happened 10 years ago. That's not all Mama did. Sorry? My mama carried out the autopsy of Clint Van Zeeks as well. Look at her eyes light up, dude. What? Really? The brother of Lord Van Zeeks, the professor's final victim. The idea of carrying out an autopsy on a member of the aristocracy was completely unthinkable back then. But the detective in charge of the investigation insisted, and it was miraculously authorized. That detective being Inspector Gregson, of course. Quite an accomplishment for one man. That autopsy provided the vital clue needed to arrest the killer. And Mama was there for that historic event. What does all this mean? You know, that amazing autopsy happened right here in this very room. The professor and Clint Van Zeeks. They both spent their final moments before their burial on that dissection table there. So this lab, Mama's lab, was instrumental in some of the country's most important events. She really is proud of her mother. Yep. I wonder if you'd tell us more exactly what happened back then, Dr. Gory. She's actually gonna tell us? Okay, cool. Confirmation of death. The professor's execution was Mama's first big case. She had to be in attendance at Barclay Prison's execution chamber. And signed the certificate to confirm the convict's death. Mama's the best coroner in the world, you know. I was so proud of her. But the execution didn't actually take place. No, and worse still, Mama actually helped with the jailbreak. Holy shit, okay. Just admitted it. I didn't want to know. Oh dear, you found out recently, you mean? I believed in her, and Mama, but... now I wonder if I'm starting down the same path as her. You mean because you omitted the time of death on this autopsy report? But that's because Lord Stronghart forbade you from including it. And I don't trust that man. Just like Mama, I'm sure she was coerced by somebody too. Yes, that's my feeling as well. There's no doubt that there were powerful forces at play 10 years ago. The execution couldn't have been staged without a lot of people at the prison knowing about it. Obviously, the prison governor must have been on it as well. Yeah, we figured that out. The big man with the little handcuffs? According to what he told us, he was tricked by the chief warder. He says he knew nothing about it. Of course he said that. I'd say the same thing. Just who was behind that jailbreak all those years ago? Why do I get the feeling that Stronghart was in charge of all this? Like, now I'm just pointing every single finger at Stronghart. You mentioned the autopsy of Clint Van Zeeks. It was at a time when carrying out autopsies of murder victims was very unusual. It's still not a practice that's observed in our country, even now. It turned out that he was the professor's final victim, and when the autopsy was performed, Mama was present, although only as the secondary assistant. The person leading the procedure was called John... Oh, god damn it, dude. What the fuck? Why does everything go back to him? Oh, Iris, this bad. The person leading the procedure was called Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right, my daddy. And there is one other person present, the primary assistant. He was a visiting student from the Far East. Wait, a visiting student? Jigoku? Or maybe it must have been my father, Eugen Mikotoba. I had no idea Professor Mikotoba had been involved in something so important. Guy is hiding everything, too. But the outcome of that historic autopsy was the discovery of a vital piece of evidence that led to the capture of the professor. So that's how they came to identify Genshin Isogi as the infamous mass murderer. Do you happen to know anything about that piece of evidence? Can you tell us any more? Would you like to see the records for yourself? What, would that be alright? What's the point of keeping records if people can't look at them? She's got a very good fucking point. They're filed under V at the back of those cupboards, with the other records from the last decade. Thank you! Let's see. Van Zeeks. That's strange. What, Mr. Naruhodo? They aren't here. There's nothing under Van Zeeks. There must be! Perhaps somebody took them away? No one's allowed to take documents related to the professor case out of this room. But you're right, they're gone! What the fuck? Well, when was the last time somebody looked at them, do you remember? It was... Oh yes, I remember now. It was 2 years ago. A consulting detective came one day saying that he'd like to see the records. No, you don't mean... Herlock Sholmes was his name. What?! Deep down, I knew that was coming. Do you think he stole the records? Oh no, surely not! Iris, that can't be right, can it? I think she's still processing. Did Iris? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Oh, wait, this might be linking back to... the Hound of the Baskerville. Bruno, I hope you don't mind, but... What is it, Iris? I've just remembered something very important I have to do. I'm going to have to leave you now. Oh, this is very sudden, Iris. Well, we'll come with you then. Oh, no, there's no need. You and Bruno can take your time here. Bye for now, then. Good luck. And then she's gone. Wait a minute, little girl. Me? I remember now. You've been here before, haven't you? Have you, Iris? Yes, 2 years ago, when that detective came. You were with him, weren't you? You were a living specimen then, too. That's the way it usually works, yes. Was I? I really don't remember. Bullshit! Anyway, sorry, but I must dash. Wait, Iris? I'll brew up a pot for you when you get home. And gone. What's the matter with her? She's behaving really strangely all of a sudden. Well, in that case, we won't keep you any longer either. It's been quite a while since I had any visitors. This was really fun. But next time you come, I'd prefer it if you were ready for dissection. I can't make any promises, sorry. Would you date her? It's a bit strange that the records of Clint Van Zeek's autopsy have disappeared, but I think we've asked all we came to ask now. Yeah, there's nothing we can do here. So where do we go? Let's go back home. Let's go to Sholmes Suite. Maybe there's something here we can do. I'm gonna start looking around. I do like the fireplace. Nope. Although I do yearn for a Japanese kotatsu. You know, I've never been in a kotatsu before. Don't put your feet in the fire. I worry sometimes about how Suzato-san sees me. You know, I really am beginning to think the Hound of the Baskervilles is starting to play a part in this. We only got exposed to that for like a tiny bit, and then it was gone. What the hell was that up there? There's nothing. Okay, so... Nervous, blah blah blah, Grand Place, blah blah blah, decorations, blah blah blah, prison, blah blah blah, Fresno Street, blah blah blah. Let's just check around, I guess. Shit, I don't know. Oh wait, we do come back here? Well, there's a suitcase now. Why is there a suitcase now? The police are still busily investigating here then. But Gina's nowhere to be seen. Where is she? Yes, it has been blissfully quiet, hasn't it? Perhaps she's out investigating on her own, practicing what her boss taught her. Well, I expect she'll be back before too long. Shall we wait? The only thing we can do is look at the stupid suitcase. Actually, there's something different about this room since the last time we were here, isn't there? You could always use the time to investigate more thoroughly. I mean, how can you miss that big-ass green suitcase? This little trunk wasn't here before, was it? Oh, it appears to be made of metal. It must be very heavy. I wonder to whom it belongs. Can we open it? There are some initials on the outside. Look, TG. Well, it's definitely Gregson's then. Let's ask one of the policemen if they know how it came to be here. Oi, what do you think you're doing? Oh, hi, Gina. That's my trunk, that is, and hands off. Gina? What? Where are you? Where were you hiding? I don't know. You leave something unattended for a few seconds, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got to get his greedy eyes on it. Just a wild guess, Gina, but... What? Spit it out, Odo. Is it fair to say that you've only owned that trunk since this morning's trial? What? What are you trying to say? Come on, this trunk goes with me everywhere. Always has. Where you been the last year? Bullshit! Trying not to incur your wrath, mainly. So what's in it? What's in it? You're a boss. You should hear him talking at the yard now. They should be ashamed of themselves. They're saying that it was the boss who killed all them bludgers. Ah, you mean the whole Reaper thing? Yeah. Apparently the boss was investigating stuff that no one else at the yard knew nothing about. Stuff to do with all them criminals what got off scot-free. Yes, the ones prosecuted by Lord Van Zeeks who used bribery and corruption to evade conviction. Well then obviously, it was that bloomin' Reaper giving the orders, weren't it? But why would people be suspecting Inspector Gregson of being involved in the killings? There was a notebook in his office. Oh no, this doesn't sound good. It had details about all the crimes that have been pegged as the Reaper's work. What? Oh, did you see it, Gina? Did you see that notebook? It wouldn't flamin' let me, because I'm just an apprentice apparently. Damn. But it was me who found it, and he was my boss. That's right. I was pretty miffed about it, so I sneaked a peek at what it said anyway. Good old Gina. That's our Gina! Exactly. So what'd it say? So, you managed to see what was written in Gregson's secret notebook anyway, did you? Way I see it, it's my right to read what he wrote. And what had he written, Gina? Dates, times, places, names, an old long list of them. All details about the bludger supposed to have been done in by the Reaper. But there could be an explanation for that. Perhaps it was a record of the Inspector's investigations into the Reaper's activities. Exactly, that's what I said. That's the first thing you'd think, right? As it happens, it was full of names I recognized anyway. Well, the Reaper's targets were almost exclusively known as leaders of London's criminal underworld. Oh, Well, yeah, but there was one name right at the end that was a bit odd. At the end of the list, you mean? Who? I'm pretty sure the date against it was 31st October. Oh, the day before the inspector was found dead! So, what was the odd name? It wasn't like a name I've ever seen before. It was something like, nah, it's no good. I can't remember it. I don't think it was an English name, put it that way. Oh dear. What a pity. Why do I get the feeling it was Asa Shin? There was something else too. I don't know if it matters, but the same name kept coming up over and over. Shin, it was. Don't suppose it means anything, but... Oh yeah, it means a lot, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Did you say Shin? Eh? What? It does mean something? Lord Van Zeeks knew the name too. He mentioned her as well. The woman who actually did the deeds. And now we find out her name appeared in Gregson's secret notebook. Of which we're never going to be able to see it, which is annoying. We haven't seen you for a little while, have we, Gina? Well, of course not. I've been busy, ain't I? Investigating in that. The lads at the yard are trying to trace the boss's movements the day before it happened. The day before? That would be the undercover investigation into the Red-Headed League, then. Only the boss didn't go, did he? You found some cove what was pretending to be him, didn't you, Odo? Yes, it was Mr. Vigil who actually went on the park on Lime Street that day, posing as Gregson. Well, anyway, you ain't the only one turning stuff up. I've got me own ways of getting results. Oh, right. I forgot about him. When me and my partner are here together, there's nothing we can't track down. You know, there might be a situation where we need to use this again. But do we have anything? Oh, little Toby. He's such a faithful friend. Toby Fox, is that you? So, have you tracked anything down then? What do you think, eh? Of course we have. Can't tell you, though. Police business, innit? Anyway, the point is, if you lot ever need any help, you know who to turn to, right? Me and the Hellhound here. Right, because he looks oh so hellish, honest. He looks too cute to be hellish. The Hellhound. Gina, about your Hellhound there. Chief Inspector Toby, you mean? He's the pride of the force, he is. In Japanese, police dog means something quite different and not altogether nice to those involved in a crime. But here in Britain, it's a wonderful compliment, it seems, for a canine at least. It should be. After all, in the great exhibition case the other day, it was Toby here who managed to locate Drebber's workshop. True. Maybe it's time for another demonstration of what this super dog can do, eh? Do we have something the Chief Inspector could catch the scent of, I wonder? We might... Either the wig or the watch.
Take that!
Well, Chief Inspector Toby, if you wouldn't mind having a sniff of this. He might be a little too keen, don't you think? What the hell was that? Chief Inspector made short work of Gina there. Woof! Ah, look what he's gone. Look what he's gone to. Oh my, that trunk clearly has a very strong scent of Inspector Gregson. In other words, it must have belonged to him. Yep, I want to know what's inside that trunk, but I wasn't expecting that that to go there that way. Oh, alright, it's a fair cop, I suppose. And you nearly got away with it, too. You always talk so proudly of Chief Inspector Toby's nose and what it can achieve. Did it not cross your mind that he might identify something that was right next to us? Yeah, that was a bit of a bloomer, weren't it? That's enough now then, Gina. Eh? I think it's time you told us the truth about that trunk. That's not what I was expecting, by the way. I was expecting something completely different. It weren't like that. It just weren't. What are you talking about? I know what's going through that head of yours, but that ain't what happened. Alright then, what did happen? Well, like I said before, we were trying to trace the boss's movements. So I let Toby here have a whiff of the boss's overcoat. And as soon as I'd done that, he went off like a shot. Straight to that sandwich. To a sandwich? Not to a bag of chips? Mr. Naruhodo, I believe Gina means the witness. Oh, I forgot about that. I forgot about him too. Yeah, he had it hidden between them wooden boards of his, the boss's trunk. Wait, what was he doing with it? Why? You mean when they heard the sound like a gunshot and all piled in here? Exactly! He nabbed it from the scene. Why? Goodness. Me and the chief inspector gave that sandwich a good grilling, and you know what he said? I thought it might fetch a good price, and the chap wouldn't be needing it anymore, so you are... But that's all I did, nothing more, nothing less. Would you Adam and Eve the cheek of it, eh? Stealing the dead boss's stuff to flog? So, Miss Venus wasn't the only one to meddle with the scene of the crime, then. These guys are dicks, man. How could they? So anyway, that's how it happened. And it's a pretty decent trunk, so I figured I might as well make use of it. There's something wrong with that, eh? Well, maybe you and Mr. Sandwich should try to find the answer to that question together. Hi, D&D. How you doing, man? Mate, holy message held for review. Fucking, this message is held for review. Shit. I'm not gonna approve these messages anymore. I'm too tired to do that. You curse too much? Time to uncurse. I think perhaps that trunk should be turned over to the police. Over to the police, don't you? What are you on about? I am the police. I need an adult. I am an adult. Gina, if you wouldn't mind, could we maybe examine it? Yeah, alright then. Do what you want with it. Thank you. We shall make a detailed record of our examination of the evidence. Inspector Gregson's metal traveling trunk that was removed from the scene but subsequently recovered by Gina. But anyway, holy crap, what happened, D&D? What? What's the matter with Toby? Why is he acting so aggressively towards me all of a sudden? Mr. Naruhodo, be careful, it must be the trunk. Oh my god! Toby, oi, what are you doing? You're gonna lick his face off. Mr. Naruhodo! Mr. Naruhodo! Gina, quickly, hail a carriage! I didn't even get to look at the fucking thing yet. Dude, I was gonna look at this before we literally die. Let's have a look inside. Is that what I think it might be? Look, there's something inside. Oh, let's see. It appears to be a passport, authorizing the travel overseas. I was walking on the road before going to get food, and I looked in someone's window. It was from a distance, I'm not weird, and this man put a cat in the blender. I did nothing. What? I don't want to hear that. I do not want to hear anything about that. I'm literally going to delete that message. Yeah, no, don't talk about that kind of shit. I don't want to hear that. Was Inspector Gregson about to go on a trip abroad then? Perhaps the date of departure might tell us something. I'm gonna have to refresh the chat box now too. What the fuck? There we go. Oh, what is it? It was for travel on 31st October, just one day before the incident. What, really? The passport has been added to the thingy. Gregson went to France the day before his body was discovered? Did he die in France? Oh, hey, look, a blood print. Some people are messed up. Oh, well, yeah, exactly. And people are messed up, and you should have killed the guy for doing whatever the hell. Look, that kind of shit pisses me off. Don't ever talk about that. Now all of a sudden I'm completely taken out of the game and I don't want to play anymore. Look at this dark stain here. Do you think... Yes, I'm afraid so. I think it's blood. I knew you were going to say that. So, that presumably means that this was present at the scene when Inspector Gregson was killed. That's the most logical conclusion, yes. I think Gina's been carrying this around with her and didn't even notice it. If you didn't know any better, I suppose it does look like a grease stain from all the fish and chips. What about this freaking claw strike mark thing? Have you seen this huge gash across the side of the trunk here? It's gone right through the leather and into the metal behind. Gosh, for a metal chest like this to have been so badly damaged, whatever made the gash must have struck the side of the trunk with considerable force. I wonder how it happened. We are not going to get that answer anytime soon. So there's nothing else to glean from this trunk. We've got a passport and that's really it. I was expecting that to be Hound of the Baskervilles, but nope. My day has been more or less okay, D&D, at least before you decide to throw that shit at me. Passport. Passport number, date of departure within 1 week of 31st October. Destination, France. Purpose of travel, police business. Notes, permission for the applicant and one additional person to travel, which would have been Gina. Quickly, Gina, hail a carriage! Because I got knocked the fuck out by a dog. Mine's worse after that. Yeah, no, I can imagine. What even made you want to tell me that? I mean, I get you want to tell someone that, but the first thing you should be telling is the police. Zoe. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, are you alright? Miss Susato. Ah, conscious again at last. A blessed relief, my dear fellow. After all, to drop dead after a moderate licking by a small terrier. Most unseemly. But hey, at least I got my Taco Bell. I don't know if you're gonna be able to properly eat that Taco Bell. I still do question why you didn't do anything, though. What is or isn't seemingly is irrelevant here, Mr. Shones. I'm so glad there's no lasting damage. How are you feeling? I'm fine, thank you. Did you bring me back here? Ah, what's this on my head? A bandage? Sadly, we had no ice, so that's a compress of sugar water. Sugar water? Don't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. It's a first aid treatment that my father taught me. Oh, thank you. It doesn't matter how far anything is, my dude. You always should call the police. So, let us take tea when you're feeling up to it. But of course, no sugar in the patient's cup. Ah, the bump on my head is throbbing sweetly enough, don't worry. Whenever you feel ready, then. Oh, this Shomes is here in the background. What the heck? Why is this not working? Hello? Controller? There you go. My dude, all you had to do was call the police, give them the license plate number, they can track it themselves. Thank you for your concern, Mr. Shomes. My dear fellow, think nothing of it. I must say I was quite startled when I heard that you'd been attacked by a dog. For a moment, I feared that infamous murderer of so many had come back from the dead. You mean the professor? Fortunately, I see your prized throat is unscathed. That stiff turned-up collar of yours has obviously afforded some welcome protection. Was I that close to death? All I really remember is the dog licking my face over and over and over again. And you passed out to that? Well, if you wish to avoid such troubles in future, a little mustard spread on the cheek should do the trick. I should think that would balance the sweetness of your bandage rather splendidly. Anyway, Sholmes, I really would like for us to talk about something, but I imagine you're not going to want to talk to us about that something. The steam is rising gently from the kettle as always. Yes, it does feel right somehow, unless it is, but the steam has an unusual scent today. Perhaps the sweet potatoes that I brought back from Japan with me already. Gulp. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, I heard that, you know. Tears of joy, Miss Susato, from my mouth. Chill, mate. That was wild. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Okay, I can't talk to Sholmes, so what do I do then? I guess go back to the room, I guess. At this point, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. Gina's not here, so... Oh, no, she is here. Dejected. Gina, I am really sorry. It's daft, ain't it? If you asked me a year ago, the cops could go hang for all I cared. But we've got to have police, ain't we, to catch the bludgers? So us divers can go about our business in peace. Wait, sorry? I don't think I can have heard that properly. He said he was going to teach me everything I needed to know to be a detective. But all he got around to showing me is the where the best flamin' fish and chip shops are. Actually, that reminds me. Gregson said he was supposed to be going to Paris in the near future, didn't he? Is something wrong? Oh, no. I'm sure I'm reading too much into things. It's just that the timing seems very coincidental. Hmm? I'm deleting that message as well. Stop talking about it in my chat. This is your final warning. If you do not stop talking about this in my chat, I'm not only gonna ban you, but I'm also just gonna end the stream for the night. Like, I'm already demoralized. Actually, you know what? I don't want to play anymore. You ruined it for me, D&D. I wanted to go for at least another hour, but I forget it, dude. I can't anymore. Alright, I'm ending the stream here for the night. I'm just pissed now, because I don't want to hear that bullshit. I don't want to hear that. Like, I normally have a lot of patience, alright? But after you decide to drop that on me, I don't have patience now. So, to everyone, blame D&D for this one. Otherwise, have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening, have a good night. And then we'll pick this up again on... I don't even know what day. Friday. We'll pick this up on Friday. Bye.